that really prove and pave the way, right? We get excited, yeah, celebrities are cool, right? But what's more exciting is someone that's exactly like you or come from similar situations like you and was able to make it. And that gives us hope. Is that hope?
Yes.
Say hope.
Yes. Hope.
Are you still excited?
Excited.
That's what gets us going, right? But I want to do a really great edification because she's one of the incredible women that I really, really admire in business. Because man, women in business, you saw on the stage, 70 to 80% of the consumer purchases are from who?
Women!
Men, you're not bad too, right? We need you too. But from what?
Women!
So can all the ladies make some noise? She has some huge giants in, not just our industry, but many, many different industries speaking so highly of her. John Maxwell says that she's packed with wisdom, and she's exactly what we need right now. Can you guys say wow?
Wow!
Right? Ed Mylett, you guys know who Ed Mylett is?
Yes!
He didn't just make everybody cry last night, right? But Ed Mylett says she's the real deal. She is the real deal, and it is so rare. It is so rare, right? She's a great example of how to max out and prove that you can have it all. You really can, right? Say wow.
Wow.
Would you love Ed to say that about you?
Yes.
But you gotta earn it, right? Sean Covey says that she is the principle-driven leader. So not only does she inspire and motivate, but she really packs the tools and resources that not only help her and her family get to where they gotta go, but most importantly, she's created many, 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 many millionaires along the way. Is that amazing?
Yes.
Say amazing.
Amazing.
Right? She ensues faith, family, finance, fitness. You hear that from our founders. But one of the best things I read, especially what she shared, is the word fulfillment. Fulfillment. Right? That's what gets you up in the morning. That's what keeps you going. That's what gets you through the hard times, right? Cash used the first speaker, and he said that his leader, an excuse, no matter how valid it is still an excuse. Why? Because it only weakens your character. Is that amazing?
Yes.
Do we make excuses?
No.
No, right? She embodies having it all with her husband, Sean, and her beautiful, beautiful family. Do we love Sean?
Yes.
We love Sean. Her incredible team revolution. But most importantly, what's the purpose?
Happy. Strong.
Can we get better than that? I'm not gonna bring her up until you get good, right? We gotta show Jamie, next to her team, we're the better hierarchy, yes?
Yes. Happy. Strong. Happy. Strong. Happy. Strong.
Everybody on your feet, please welcome SEVC, Jaime Villalovos.
I met a bunch of you guys over the last few days, and I'm like, you're the best hierarchy. I don't know anybody that works harder than TTW. And I see her every trip. We've traveled the world together, yes. And every time that I see her, it's just this person, that person. It's just a list of you guys, of bragging about you guys and asking questions that she can bring home from every leader, as she's relentless. Remember when she was injured and she was like in the wheelchair or something? She'd like, I'd see her across the resort and she's like coming after leaders to get her questions answered. And I don't know, like the only other person I know in this company like that is Cashier Stan. He stalks people. He actually kidnapped Rocky one day. I had to have a big conversation with him about the legal stuff and not getting in trouble for literally Rocky couldn't leave. He's like, I'm going to take you to, and he took him to his hotel until he answered all his questions. He did the same thing to Raja. I found Cash, like he was by Hawaii, in the dark, in the bushes. And I'm like, what are you doing over there? He's like, I'm waiting, that's Raj's room, I'm waiting. But you guys have a tremendous leader, yes? Yes! And you know, this is an interesting convention. You can feel the synergy, yes? Like when you come in, you can feel that synergy. You get like the new people, the people that have been around a long time. There was just a different excitement, a genuine excitement. And then we get into the gala night. And it wasn't the Eric Olson show anymore. It wasn't, just a few people up there, the same people going across the stage. It was so many different people. How about when they put up the new $250,000 earners? Wow. Was your mind blown? Yes. Yeah, it's like we are part of this amazing company. But I hope one thing stood out from all of it is how fast it's happening. That there's a new generation of builder, yeah? It's a very new generation of builder. Whether it's Fombo's team or Raj's team, which it seemed like a lot of, and there's others too. It's a new generation, and it's just happening faster. And people say, what are they doing? What are they doing? And I'll tell you that a lot of those teams, because Raj was around a while before this explosion happened, but he had a huge explosion in the last few years. And a lot of those people there was a gal that made $1 million in her second year. There was several of Raj's guys that hit CEO in their second year, right? A lot of these guys came in right before the Zoom era, or during the Zoom era. So they weren't trained in the past, in old ways, you understand? So all of us had to adjust and adapt and learn how to use Zoom, yes? And learn how to grow. We all had to do that. They didn't. They didn't. So here's what I'm seeing, at least within my hierarchy, and maybe this will help you have a different perspective. But a lot of those guys, we got good at making sales on Zoom, yes? All of us did, right? We all had to do that. We got good at doing Zoom got good at training on Zoom? Yeah. What I feel like, at least my team, that still has not got good at, really, is fast starting on Zoom. Making phone calls on Zoom with their brand new person. Well, they got good at that from day one. And all their people know how to do it. So I'm telling you, if it was my hierarchy, I'm meeting with all my direct SMDs right now. The leaders have to get back to prospecting. I told them all to make a 100-name list. My leadership to make a 100-name list, to go crazy on prospecting. I will compete with every single one of you, talking to people and just getting names. Walking from my hotel room to the arena yesterday, just walking from my hotel room to the arena, I got 7 numbers. And we're just walking, and there's a lady standing, handing out the thing. And I'm like, you just look absolutely miserable at this job. We're gonna chat on Monday. Give me your number, hon. I gotta run and speak at this thing. And she gave me a number. All 7, you guys, listen to me, all 7 numbers I got yesterday, not one asked what we do. Never had the conversation. Easiest thing in the world. Why? People are hungry. That's 7 numbers. Rich Thali asked a question of my leadership team 2 nights ago. He said, how can you get better at being obsessed? At making this an obsession. And I took the question personal, and I said, I need to be obsessed on personally prospecting and personally going wide. So my leaders have an example of that, and it trickles into my hierarchy. Does it make sense? And then I've got to get where we are the best at fast starting people and making phone calls via Zoom. Is that the hot spot? It's always been the hot spot. Controlling the point of contact is always the hardest thing in our business, right? So I got to get good at that. And if you do, you're the next gen builder. You'll be pumping out the 117s and pumping out the promotions and pumping out the CEOs, and now Raja's pumping out the SAVCs like it's nothing. Do you understand? So I'm going to go through, we talked about happy and strong, and we talked about all these things, and I'm grateful that you guys are using the book and liking the book, and so many of you guys and so many teammates have said, how it's changed their life or their teammates' life, or they're using it for recruiting, and I think that's awesome. Happy and strong is something I'm really passionate about, because during COVID, so many of every team in WFG was calling me. It seemed like everyone was depressed about in some form, like their own little form of depression. And I promise I never ever wanted to write a book. I don't recommend writing a book. You do not make any money on writing a book. It's not about that. You write a book because you want to help people, period. And I just felt I had to, you know what I mean? But we're going to talk about what I think all of you need to do. We're going to get her to EC, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so let's see. Can we get the PowerPoint? It's about leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership. So we're going to talk about the characteristics of a leader. Actually, it's part of the book. There's like one chapter on leadership. You guys know the book, the first half is how to win in business. How to get a clarity on your vision and win in business. The second half of the book is how do you do it all? How do you juggle it all? You know, how do you have it all? And but the middle of the book, there's one chapter called Becoming a Leader. If you guys have read the book, you know what I'm talking about. I wrote the book in 60 days. That chapter was added 2 months later. Because I thought, like, well, this is such an important part of this, you know? And so turning yourself into a leader. If we get her to EC, how many of you guys are going to your $1 million rings? How many of you guys are going to $500,000 rings? And how many of you guys are going to be CEOs and EVCs and SEVCs, yes? That's the goal. Well, to get to SEVC, yes, there's a lot of numbers. Yes, there's a lot of prospecting and contacting and a lot of appointments, a lot of no's. But you don't have a team, an SEVC team, you don't have an EC team, you don't have a CEO team unless you can lead. So we're going to go through this. I don't know, oops. It's kind of cool. Let's see if I go backwards again. Okay, there we go. So what should I do? Click next? That's what happens when I click next. Isn't that cool? Never seen that. Every time I click next. I don't think I pushed in the wrong button. Let's see, one more time. You want to do it? There's only a couple slides. You guys can do it for me. All right. Characteristics of a leader. It's not just about her getting to EC. It's about you getting to your dreams. It's about you coming back next year and walking across that stage. That's one thing I want you to get from this convention more than anything, is that all those people that walked across the stage, they're all very different. They have different backgrounds. You don't have to be African. We used to think that we had to be Asian. When I started in this business, you're like, man, are there any of the white people that make hundreds in the base? We had to study Swan and study, John Pham and all these leaders. And it's not. It doesn't matter how long you've been in this business. It matters how long this business has been in you. Bombo's team, you know what their strength is? They're crusaders. Raja's team, you know what their strength is? It's their spirituality. They, out of any team in the company, they are the most appreciative. Their edification, you guys, I asked Rohit, like, how is your team so, I thought my team was the best at edification of their leaders. I'm like, how are you guys so good? Like, how do you teach them how to edify their leaders? He's like, let me just put it to you this way. My upline, whether he's a good upline or not, my upline, we think, their hierarchy thinks, is a gift from God. God gave me this gift to help my family get to where we want to be. So if it was a gift from God, how would you treat that? Isn't that crazy? Like that's their superpower. They're not as strong, I promise you, they're not as strong as you guys in the system, in leadership training. They're not as strong at products. Almost team doesn't even know the products. All they know is IUR. It's the only thing that they know. They're not allowed to sell annuities because they don't know how. You can beat them. You understand? Okay, but you have to be focused on turning yourself into a leader and doing it faster. Okay? So I'll just go over the characteristics of a leader. First, you got to systematize. You have an amazing mentor, leader that has a great system in place. Now you have to make sure everyone on your team is on the same page, everyone's unified, everyone's doing the same presentations, everyone's using the same scripts, and then say, how can I simplify it? How can I make it as simple and fast as possible? You want me to tell you what the Raja's script is? And Cash's script is?
Yes.
You're gonna laugh. Hey, I'm working on some business ideas with a friend of mine. When can we get on a Zoom for 20 minutes? Dumb, huh? It's like that simple. Working on some business ideas with a friend of mine. When can we jump on a Zoom for 20 minutes? Oh, now? Okay, cool. Boom, we're into a one-on-one. Does that make sense? So it doesn't matter what your script is. Her scripts are probably 100 times better than that, right? But does everyone on your team say the same words? That's what a leader does. He gets everyone singing on the same sheet of music, right? Next, vision. She has a huge vision. We were talking, she's like, I'm EC by July 2023. I'm like, what's your plan? And she's going over it, she has this big vision, and she's talking about all of you guys and how you're gonna be at SEVC, right? And all the different people on the team. And so, you need to have a vision. You need to have a vision so big that you're so excited about it. You, personally, every morning are fired up about it. If not, it's just going through the motions. You might as well treat it like a job. That you're so excited about your family. Can you guys hear me? I said on stage, Susan Davies made me talk about the book, and it just threw me off because I was uncomfortable with it, you know what I mean? But I was talking about the vision of a business plan 100 years past when I passed away. Vision of helping 100 million people through the charity work that we do, and through the financial education that we do, and through the leaders that we develop. If I could develop Cash into a leader, think of all the leaders that he builds, right? He's already just built a play structure, soccer stadium for our school in Sierra Leone for orphans. I'm building philanthropists. Does that make sense? It's a vision that excites me. It's a vision that, like, I do my genealogy. You guys know what I mean by that? Like, you look and see your ancestors, and I looked, and it was so depressing. It was sad stories. This guy died, he's an alcoholic, died in the streets because his wife locked him out of the house when he was drunk one night and he got pneumonia. This guy got shot behind a bar. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of losers in my family, right? But I want all my posterity to look back and like, oh, well, that's my girl. I can do it. You know what I'm saying? All of these legacy goals I have really excite me. Part of that 100-year plan, there's a goal in there of when Sean and I have grandkids. And when each of our grandkids turns 18, we want to take them individually on a trip. Just me and Sean, fun trip, travel the world. And I'm like, what do I need to be doing right now? Because when Daisy has a kid that's 18, I'll be this old, I have to get my health right. I have to take it, so I have goals today based on grandkids of my 17-year-old right now, when they're 18. You see what I'm saying? So I have this vision that fires me up, that motivates me every single day. But then you have to tie it to your team. What's in it for them? And your vision has to be so big that when your team hears you talk about it, they're like, if I just follow her, if I just hold on to her coattails, I'm going somewhere special. My family is gonna win. And so if I asked you, I could ask Teresa what her vision is, but if I asked you, would you be able to articulate it to me? More importantly, if I asked your teammates what your vision was, would they be able to tell me? Can your teammates articulate to me what your vision is? Okay? So that comes with clarity. We need clarity, 2 C's, compelling and clarity. Compelling vision, clarity. Okay, the second one is execution. Well, execution means that you're gonna follow through, you're gonna make it happen, you're gonna execute on the vision every single day, every single day, every single day, no matter what, no matter what. Remember in the book, if you read it, when I talked about 9/11? 9/11, I went to the office that day in I don't know how many story building. I was the only one who showed up. Sean was the only other person who showed up. every floor, completely empty. I made calls that day. I called all my teammates that day. We wrote three apps that day. We got a recruit that day. Tenacity. The execution of your vision. Leaders can execute. I know things happen. Crap happens. And you just want to pull the covers over your head and cry, suck your thumb, or whatever. But the ability to execute day in, day out, no matter what, on your vision, and that's easier to do. The more clarity you have, the more compelling it is to your heart, okay? Next, inspiration. So inspiration is the ability to pull others into your vision. You don't have to be a motivational speaker. You don't have to be Ed Milet. Look at all those people who spoke. They don't have any of those talents, most of them, right? You just have to be able to pull others into this vision, that they can see themselves winning inside it. So that means you have to talk about it. Some of you guys have been around a while. I've been here 23 years. How many of you guys have been here like 10 years or longer or those things? Okay, remember when I first was getting started and they first had me started going on stage? And I couldn't not cry because I was talking about my why, my family, my sisters. Okay, that's uncomfortable. A lot of people don't want to put their emotions on their sleeves. I'll tell you a secret. I'm speaking it into existence, you understand? I don't want to talk about those things. I wasn't doing it for show, that's for sure. I was trying to speak it into existence. So every time I had a new recruit, here's why I love this business, here's why I'm doing it. And I have this sister back home that's struggling. And they might not have the same why, but it helps them identify their whys. Understand? It helps them to know. Maybe I said, I hate having a boss have their thumb on me. I hate someone telling me when I can see my family. That might not be their why, but they can relate to it. Your job as a leader is to inspire and motivate. Well, only true motivation comes from within. They have to figure out their why. So the more you share with emotion yours, people will relate to you, they'll follow you, and here's another thing, they'll want to help you achieve that vision. They'll want to align with you more. So inspiration is a big part of it. And then creating a hot environment. Okay, she's up here, she's hosting today, she's like trying to get you guys to stand up. I'm a part of Ed Milet's NetCO team. And if we didn't like beat each other up for the front row, like we would have bruises on our shins, okay, with people like hitting each other with chairs, and and then if our back touched the chair, Ed would kick us out of the room. Not kidding. We had to sit, like my cheeks, like one of them's hanging off, and like this, a notebook on one knee, like taking notes. It was like intense. He called it EEI, energy, intensity, enthusiasm. EEI. He said, how high on a level 1 to 10 are you at 15 yet? And I'll tell you, that's what Cash has. That's what Cash has, right? So this hot environment where Monty Home told me, he said, Jamie, when they come to your meeting, now we have Zoom, but when they come to your meeting, this is back in the day, he said, and they park their car in the parking lot, and they open the door, and they start to get out, their shoes are sucked off their feet from like the energy in your mozone room, right? And so my first goal in business was we're going to be the #1 team, but before we become the #1 team, we have to be the #1 environment. The environment. And I want my people to not want to go home after the BPM. So there was mozone before, during, and after. So I'm trying to create this hot environment. And that's rough, that's hard when it's like a team of old people that have been here a long time. Not old as an age, but you know what I'm talking about. Like, no matter what you tell them, they're just like, because they've heard it 100 times. That causes you to fatigue as a leader. Yes? That's why something like this is so needed, because you're running on fumes coming into the convention and then you're refueled. And then you can challenge them because they're like actually listening to you for a second. But it's going to wear off again, and it's your job. You can't wait for Teresa to do it, or Ed Milet to do it, or the big event to do it. You have to learn how to create a hot environment. Well, there's a couple ways you do it. The supercharger on that one is what we call EPR, encouragement, praise, and recognition. I'm sure she taught you, like, that is like every meeting, and I'm talking about one-on-one meeting with your teammate, BPM, Zoom. I want you to encourage, praise, and recognize. If it's you and your 4 people and no one did crap all month, figure out a way to recognize some people. I went to a Europe trip one time, the Rome trip, right? Came back, no one did anything. My whole base shop just tanked, just sucked. I was so pissed off at them. But I'm thinking, if I'm feeling down, and I'm making the money and going on these trips, how are they feeling? Because they're broke. Our instinct is to say, we need to do more, and this is what's wrong, and that's our instinct as leaders. Or sometimes it's like, I'm going home, I'm not even having my meeting after meeting, right? Like, I don't even want to talk to these people, I want to punch them. But instead, I went to that meeting after meeting that night with a happy face, and what I said, I am going back to Rome because you guys are so awesome. You guys are amazing. You don't even need me. I'm going to go away again because you guys are just so phenomenal. And then I just started kind of making things up, but it was real. It was real. I just had to dig really deep to find something, right? And so I was like, this gal over here, she went and talked to a person on her own for the first time. Can you believe it? And this gal, she took a financial strategy by herself. This guy made phone calls with Mauricio all day the other day, right? And so I was just kind of finding something. And then there was a girl that was new on one of my guys' teams down in EMD, but she was on the team and she was like, and she can't even stop smiling. Things are just so good right now, right? And then I took my assistant, Neil, and I promoted him that night to EBSC, Executive Base Shop Coordinator. So I gave out a promotion, right? And so, because that was made up, right? But I want them to feel something's happening, and they should be a part of it. And they already know, that they didn't do anything. I don't need to tell them that. But they now feel like, I gotta do my part. I wanna step up. Does it make sense? So encourage, praise, recognize when they're down, when your top guy is down, that's when you need to hold their hand. But every meeting, try to have something that you're giving awards for. And not just the same thing, names across the screen. Like, make it special. The only one thing that I could say that this event could improve on was a little bit more hero making. Would you agree with that? There was a lot of people across the stage, but Raja should have been made the MVP. That hero making was left out, So you need to do that in your organizations. That was a mistake from office, no big deal. Won't happen again, I don't think. Next one is adaptability, and this is the big one right now. Have your leaders talked to you about, you're in Canada, but have your leaders talked about, like when there's tough times, things are good, yes? When things are good, WFG is good. When things are bad, WFG is great. And in the United States, they're talking about market crashes and inflation and all these things. In Canada, you guys have come out of a really tough time. And it's still kind of going on. I'm glad you guys got to come to this event. Tough times build tough leaders. When things are tough, you get tougher. So you need to learn to be adaptable. Just like when we had to switch to Zoom, boom, you're on Zoom. You need to be adaptable now to a faster system. Things are gonna happen. Things maybe get weirder in Canada. I know they're gonna get worse in the United States. I know they're gonna get worse in the United States. It's gonna get, even if it doesn't, all the media is saying right now is doom and gloom. That's why I didn't even have to say what we did to all 7 of those prospects. Because I'm the only one saying something good. And if you're the positive one, right? So, next one, build other leaders. Leaders, one characteristic of a leader is that you're building other leaders. Now, did they announce the comp changes in Canada yet? Victor? Okay. So Victor made this amazing announcement, yes?
Yes.
No, it was like the most anticlimactic announcement ever. I texted him afterwards, I'm like, Victor, are you going to announce the comp changes? Is Jamie? Is Will? He said, I just did. No, you didn't. You announced that you're going to announce. There's a guy behind me that was like, womp womp. But here's the thing. They have finished the comp changes in Canada. They have finished the comp changes in TFA, but they haven't 100% decided where the money's going in the United States.